Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield. Get off my plane. Is that a way to... I think that's the right way to say that line. Or you could be like, hey, maybe you get off my plane. Could you get off my plane, please? Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Get off my plane.
Yours is way better than mine.
I've been practicing.
It sounds like it.
But I'm going to have a coughing fit any second because of it.
You are a professional, and I am not. We are celebrating the fact that this week America's transition boyfriend, Joe Biden, is being sworn in, and I'm really excited about it, and I know you're really excited about it, and we're going to have our first female vice president. Woo! Kamala Harris.
Woo!
And we're going to have our first ever, second gentleman, her husband, Doug. And we're going to have our first shelter dog in the White House. So many awesome things. And since we've already talked about Dick and Dave, we're going to talk... and the Contender. We did one on the Contender, remember?
Yep. Long time ago.
Long time ago, before Margo was officially part of the show, we did the Contender. But this week, we're going to do 1997's Air Force One, which I hadn't seen since the theater, and Margo had never seen. So this was a first-time watch. And it's directed by Wolfgang Peterson, who also did In the Line of Fire, which would be fun to talk about sometime, I think.
Absolutely.
Outbreak, which we have already done an episode on. And he also did The Never-Ending Story, which I have never seen and don't want to see. Have you seen that movie?
No, and I'm tired of hearing about it. I've never seen it. And the Lee Mall song and all that stuff. I guess I just missed me. It was like something little kids liked when I was a teenager. So no, I never did.
No, and I know there's a super traumatizing scene that people who are a little bit younger than us reference all the time. And I'm like, that scene is the reason why I haven't seen that movie yet. Hard pass. But
I didn't even go that far.
Yeah.
When people start talking about it, my brain just shifts off. Like Cameron, the Real Housewives of Dallas. She just kind of stares out and nods. That's what I do.
When people talk about it in my brain, it's just like
my brain's like, what do I make for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
Maybe pork. That'd be good.
You are smart. This movie stars Harrison Ford as President James Marshall. He's a pretty popular president. He's got a lovely wife and a 12-year-old daughter, and it's also got Gary Oldman as the bad guy. No spoilers there. It's very obvious that Gary Oldman's the bad guy. Glenn Close plays the vice president. Wendy Crewson as the first lady. William H. Macy popped up in there. I was excited to see
Dean Stockwell is in this movie.
Dean Stockwell's in here. Philip Baker Hall is in here. Paul Guilfoyle is in there. People will be like, that's the guy from CSI. You are correct. That is him.
Oops.
And Xander Berkeley as one of the Secret Service
Xander.
agents. Yeah. What did I say? Xander. Sure. I meant...
Sorry.
No, you are right, and I am wrong. I don't know why I pronounced it that way. I know exactly who he is. But this was a first-time watch for you, and I'm really excited to hear what you think. So just tell me, what did you think of Air Force One?
I'm very confused by it. I think I like it. I'm not mad at it. But I had to watch it twice because I wasn't quite sure I saw what I saw.
Interesting.
And then
okay.
I did see what I saw.
Ooh. All right. Tell me.
Well, I loved it also, like when I posted it on my Instagram that I'm seeing this movie, and I tagged Dorking Out, and then my friend Margo, my co-host for Book versus Movie, says it's awesome because Gary Oldman plays both Boris and Natasha. Like,
that's such a good description.
It's ludicrous. I mean, this is like, they don't make movies like this anymore.
Yeah.
90s, this is like what we talk about before, 90s action film.
So 90s action.
So much. I mean, it's so 90s. A fax machine is super important to the welfare of everybody in the movie. I love that.
I love that yes, a fax machine plays a key role, and that the president fully acknowledges that he will not know how to operate said fax machine, so therefore has to risk the life of someone else to go with him to operate the fax machine, which, by the way, I would also need someone else to help me with the fax machine because I always put the paper in the wrong way.
Same. Just that and the printer, you know. Yeah.
Fucking printers.
That's actually like that's a real thing. Like I totally understood that. Yeah.
It is so 90s though. Like just what you think is the climax turns out not to be the climax.
It doesn't end right. It goes on and it's a little too long.
It's too long.
It's got too many, what do they call red herrings going on there. And there's one guy that at the end turns out to be a huge asshole, and you knew it like the second he showed up on the screen. Like, there's something wonky about him.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that doesn't work for me in the movie is they reveal it pretty early on who the mole is. It's so when it's revealed at the end again, you're like, yeah, we knew this. Like, you showed us this at the beginning. He's the one who like kills a bunch of people at the beginning. We already know.
Right. So should we go through the plot?
Like, I like the huh?
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, so the president's in Russia.
Yes.
And he's being feted by the Russian people for being an awesome guy. And I love Harrison Ford as our stoner president. I think it's great.
Too.
It's comforting.
I love Look, this is not a hot take. I love Harrison Ford. I'm not a monster. I super love Harrison Ford. He is one of my favorite movie stars. So I get very excited whenever I see Harrison Ford. And I mean, this role is like so Harrison Ford, right? He's just like, I'm a good man and I'm going to do the right things and America, fuck yeah, like that sort of thing. And that's fine. That's the kind of movie it is, and that's fine. And Harrison Ford is very good at that. I love Harrison Ford.
He's wonderful. So they're on Air Force One, and first of all, Air Force One is way bigger than I thought it could be. I don't know why I think it's smaller, but I've never been on it. That could be accurate.
Are you sure?
But he's pretty sure. The 90s are pretty crazy for me. I mean, let me think. Because his wife's on there. So the first lady and the first daughter are there. And then, so the vice president is back at the White House. And then Dean Stockwell is the Department of Defense.
Yes.
So they want to invoke the 25th Amendment. There's a couple of times I got the chills watching this movie because so he speaks at this Russian thing, and then he goes off script and does this whole thing like, hey, come on, we could do better. There's lots of people suffering.
Yeah, we're not negotiating with terrorists anymore. Fuck them. You should be afraid. That's his big speech. Yeah.
And right after that, he gets on the plane and he's going back. And then there's this super cheerful PR person, the communications.
Yes.
And the second I looked, I'm like, oh God, she's going to be dead, isn't she? Spoiler, by the way, we spoil the details.
Yes.
But I know lots of women like, that person, that personality. Yeah. Because I was in PR and marketing for years, like that cheerful, like, hey, I was like, oh boy, because they had a bunch of Russians on there. And so these communist terrorists take over the plane, and one of them is Gary Oldman, and they shoot the shit out of that. There's like 50 people on that plane. There's a lot of people.
There's so many people on that plane. So many people die.
It's ridiculous. It's like 48 deaths or something like that. It's very gruesome. And so they're holding everybody hostage, and then the president gets away, and but he's actually really there. And he's trying to like steal a gun and get through all the bad guys.
Yeah, it's like a Die Hard kind of situation.
Very Die Hard.
Where they don't know he's on the plane. He's running around like killing people, and they don't even know it's him. And meanwhile, his wife and daughter in the on the plane as well, and they're in serious danger because they know that they're leverage, right? They're
Exactly.
the most leverage out of anyone other than the president on that plane. There is a part where Gary Oldman's character has them all has all the hostages in a room, and he's like, where's the first lady and daughter? And I'm like, well, there's only one kid on that plane. Like, yeah, and she's
I think she's probably sitting in her mom's lap.
Yeah, I'm like, she's right there. Like, you can't miss her. There's one kid. Poor kid.
Every once in a while, he just screams, "Bah!"
Yeah.
And then shoots it into the wall, or it's like,
so
no!
So Gary Oldman. So 90s Gary Oldman with the like, everyone! Like that kind of Gary Oldman.
I read the trivia, and it said that he really enjoyed this part. Now, he looks like he's having fun. I mean, he's just being a total douchebag, but he's pretending to speak Russian, and the Russians are taking over the plane. And there's so then also we have Glenn Close as our vice president, and so she's in a war room, and it's packed with people in this war room too. I mean, there's a lot of people in this movie, a lot of extras, a lot of money spent on background people. But so they're trying to figure out, is the president dead or not? Does that mean she's now the president, or who's in charge? And so there's that whole kerfuffle. And they're trying to negotiate with these Russians so that they don't, kill all the people. And I think that's what's going on.
Yeah. And then Dean Stockwell is like, remember now, we're not negotiating with terrorists. That's our thing, or whatever. And she's kind of like, nah, fuck that. Like, we need to save the president, like, no matter what. And so they're clashing. And Dean Stockwell's kind of making his play too. Like, I'm in charge here. I think he even tells her at one point, like, relax, Catherine, I'm in charge here. And it's like, first of all, she's Madam Vice President to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Asshole. Second, you're not in charge. She is.
Right.
Well, the president is, and her.
But they have to bring somebody, which is Philip Baker Hall.
Yeah. To
come explain the Constitution. I mean, at one point she goes, get the Constitution. And that seems ridiculous. But then with this president we have right now, get that Constitution out. Like, we got to, like, Nancy Drew this shit and find out what's going on.
Fucking nobody in the White House right now knows how to read. It wouldn't even matter.
No,
it needs a, like, fucking pop-up book to explain to them what the Constitution is. Also, just a few other things, like, Harrison Ford's character, his president, he just wants to, like, drink his Budweiser and watch his recorded football game. I love the idea that, see, he's just like us.
Yeah, he just knows how to shoot people really well.
Yeah, he just also happens to be a Vietnam vet who's really awesome at killing people.
He's really good at it, and he's good at sneaking up on people, and he's good at, he plays all the emotions, and it's, he does scared shitless really well.
He
does
panicked
really well.
Panicked. That's a good description. I think Harrison Ford does panicked so well.
You believe him because you're with him. You can empathize with him. And so there's this one part, like we said, there's a bunch of people, a lot of people on this plane, probably way more than should be, that are still alive. And the bodies are just there.
Yeah.
That poor kid has to be traumatized, right?
No shit. She's going to be in therapy for the rest of her life. I mean, but so then somebody's like, well, if we go to under 10,000, if it gets to 5,000 feet, we can just throw people out, put it in a parachute, and they can just jump. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Would I risk it with the psychos on the plane? I mean, I'm terrified of heights.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle.
And this is a lose-lose for me. I don't want to do either of those things.
I am like, they all sound terrible choices to me. And it's like, there's times when the special effects are good, and sometimes they're kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
And the people just hopping out of that plane and smiling as they're going to the ground.
That part made me laugh.
I was giggling because I could picture the actors like going to the studio.
Yeah.
There's a green screen, and he's like, Gary always yelling, jump, get out of here. And so they jump and they're laughing. But great scene that the president almost falls out of the plane. Several times he almost falls right the hell out of the plane. But does the first lady shoot Gary?
No, she has the gun on him, and Harrison Ford and Gary Oldman are fighting, and he kind of wraps the parachute thing around his neck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I don't think she ever shoots anyone. And then, he does the whole, like, get off my plane, and he, like, punches him. And I believe it snaps his neck.
He's got a strange expression on his face. Like he's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
He's for sure dead.
And he's, like, floating away, like, with this parachute.
Yes. It's a little Pennywise the Clown-ish to me, but I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And then I'm thinking, there's got to be more to this movie. They can't just have this. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Because that's when we find out there's a mole on the plane. And then he's like, Harrison Ford, by the way, was going to land it. Because he flew planes in Vietnam.
Of course he did.
Not jets, of course, but sure. Why not? And then all of a sudden they're losing gas, or anyway, the mole like totally has a conniption fit, starts shooting people. And basically Harrison Ford, being the amazing, our president, Jack Marshall, being the great guy that he is, James Marshall, excuse me, he, has his wife go and his daughter go, like make sure everybody's there.
He should be the first one off because he's the president.
Absolutely.
But instead, he's the last one because he's such a good
selfless.
Man.
Yes. He is our ideal of a president. He likes football and he's a good person.
He's a man,
and he knows how to shoot.
Man.
Exactly. So there's a fight at the end, and there's a couple of great. I love a scene where there's the White House press corps, and they just lose their goddamn minds. Like this is in all the White House movies. There's a point where somebody says something and they all go, ah! I love it. I totally love that shit. I just was confused by this movie. I wasn't always sure what was going on.
Yeah, and it's too long.
It's too long. It's way too long. Some of the choices, there were some things that were inadvertently hilarious. Like I said, Gary Oldman floating as he's being, but that also just kind of added to the enjoyment for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I was super fun.
I was never bored. Like, it's a very entertaining movie. I like 90s thriller or 90s action movies. I think they're fun. Like we've talked about, like Con Air and stuff like these movies are fun. I like watching them. It's fun to watch a movie like this that's about the president, that's not divisive. Like anyone could watch this movie and be like, yeah, the president's rad. You know, it's cool to see a president where like his wife and kids actually like him, and the press corps doesn't want him dead, and stuff like that. Like we don't have a lot of that right now. We're about to have maybe some of that again. I don't know, but there's definitely that, and it was super confusing. I was very confused by the fact that there's a mole on Air Force One that like kills some people at the beginning, and then he's pretty much not in the rest of the movie until the very end, and then at the end he goes apeshit and starts killing people. I guess because he just wants to get off the plane, because only maybe one more person can go. I'm not 100% sure why that's happening, because he's about to get away with it. Nobody knows. Like, anyone who knew he was the mole is dead now, so he's not going to go to jail for what he's done. Is it just that he wants to get off the plane?
I think he wants to get off the plane. I think he also wants to kill the president for some reason. I just think
But they never explain why.
No, they don't. But there's that scene where Harrison Ford's like, you swore an oath to protect me. And he's like, yeah, just like I'll protect the next one.
You
burn.
You burn, Mr. President.
I was like, what? And then that plane crashes into the water, and then the press, everyone's waiting, and the cheers of happiness, like at these, I mean, over the top, silly,
for sure,
stupid, enjoyable. I really, it's a great popcorn movie.
Yeah, that's also a good way to describe it. It is definitely one of those popcorn movies. There's also this really crazy, intense scene with the press secretary that you mentioned, and she's so nice, and you're like, oh boy, like she might as well be like, I'm 2 weeks from retirement, and I'm gonna sail away on my boat called the Live Forever, or whatever. Like, that she has like a target on her. And there's this very crazy, intense scene where he like puts her on the intercom and like asks her questions and
makes everybody listen to
and
it.
makes everyone listen to it. And all these people on the plane know her and they like her and don't want anything bad to happen to her, and something bad is going to happen to her. And it's a really intense, fucked up scene in this movie that's just a popcorn, like such a popcorn movie that's like pretty, you don't need to go deep with this movie. And
no, I think
that scene, I feel like
it's out of place.
It feels really intense. I mean, and that's good. Like it shows that, I mean, Harrison Ford's gonna live, but the fact that people like spoilers, people like William H. Macy are gonna die,
right?
Makes it feel a little bit riskier, I guess. That the movie, you're like, shit, the movie's gonna go there? Damn.
Yeah.
But that scene is really intense. It's really well done, too.
It is. It's just, but I think it's just a little, for me, it's just a bridge too far. It didn't need to go there.
It's just
I
a
already
little
knew
heavy.
they were all assholes. Yeah, I knew they were all assholes. You didn't need to kill the nicest person there to show me that these are not great guys. Like,
Yeah.
I got that. So I just think it was a little too long, and I would have taken that out. And the music is hilarious in this movie. It's just a super loud movie.
Okay, so the music, I was dorking out like we do, hence the podcast's name, about this movie. And apparently the music, especially the scene where they're out on where they're jumping on with their parachutes, apparently like the Trump campaign uses that music all the time. Did you read that too?
I did too. I'm like, of course.
I'm like, fuck you, Donald Trump. I'm like, and of course he likes Air Force One because, he stood up for America. It's like, fuck off. You don't stand up for America. And of course Ford is like, it's just a movie, asshole. Like, Trump is such a piece of shit. If he's going to watch movies with presidents, I really wish he would have watched All the President's Men instead.
He couldn't keep up with that's way too boring for him. No, he has no attention span. No, he wouldn't get it. The American president would be too boring for him. Like, I think.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think. Yeah.
Do you think he thinks that he's like Harrison Ford, or do you think he knows he's a fucking coward?
Oh no, he thinks he's brave. He thinks he's special. I think he's that. Yeah, that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the only way he would fight Russians is if they like had the possession of the P tape and he didn't want it to get out.
That's what I was just gonna say. Exactly. If they had the P tape, he'd run around that plane like a maniac. He'd paint his face, put his tie around his head. All of a sudden, you see him work a little, put a little sweat in there. Yeah. Yeah, that didn't surprise me when I heard that. I mean, it's a macho guy's idea
for sure,
being president. Like, I'd have all this power, but I wouldn't be a douche about it. I could watch football on a plane, on a nice plane, like in the middle of,
Yeah.
And I go to fancy places, and I have a nice wife and a nice kid. Like, yeah. I don't think our president cares about his wife or kids, but
for sure, right? I was like, he wouldn't risk his life for anybody, and I was like, who does he like the most? Ivanka, maybe? And I was like, but he'd still fuck her over to save himself.
Yeah, I really, yeah. I mean, yeah. This president isn't a sociopath, and this president isn't an egotist.
Yeah.
And he's not like, this was made when Bill Clinton was president. He's not like, some fancy pants Rhodes Scholar type. Mm-hmm. Like, he's more down to earth.
Yeah. And I think
know what I mean?
that, and they make that, it's so funny because he's a former Vietnam vet. He happens to be really good at killing people. He could fly a plane. Oh, and he speaks Russian. FYI.
Yeah.
Like, it's like everything he could possibly need to be, he is in this movie. And I'm fine with that. Once again, totally fine with that.
Yeah.
But like you said, it is too long, and it does the 90s thing where it's like, okay, they killed Gary Oldman. Movie's over, right? No, because the plane's losing fuel, and now they need to refuel, and they need to land. Oh, they can't refuel, and they can't land. Now what? It's just like something else. and something else
So
and something else.
the door is open on the plane, and from what I understand, it's really cold when you're that far up in the
Yeah.
sky. But they're out there like, yep, with the shirt, shirt sleeves and the pants, and is like no gloves, nothing, and he's just kind of hanging out. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
Yes.
But that's what I kind of liked about it. Like
Me too.
I knew it was good. Yeah, I completely went along with it. I thought it was fun. I mean, like I said, I was very confused by it the first time I saw
Yeah.
it. I had to watch it again.
I
And then
am
I'm seeing it again. I'm like, okay, I get it. I have my favorite parts now. And yeah,
I am so impressed you watched it twice.
I had to. I really did. Because I was like, what am I going to talk about?
Cheryl, what the fuck is
What the
happening
fuck
in
am
this
I-
movie?
Yeah.
I read that apparently at some point Kevin Costner was attached to this movie, and I was like, of course he was.
And you know what? He'd probably be good too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like he's Harrison Ford-esque in
Yeah.
that way. I also read that Arnold Schwarzenegger was attached at one point. Keanu Reeves, and I'm like, Keanu Reeves is too young.
He would have been too young.
Yeah. Dennis Quaid. I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then other people considered Tom Hanks. I'm like, of course, Tom Hanks is attached to everything.
Everything, yes.
John Malkovich. I'm like,
He would have been good, but not as no. He would have been good as not as the president though. I don't believe him in an action role. But wait a second. What is that movie he did with Clint Eastwood?
In the Line of Fire.
In the Line of
Yeah.
Fire. Also, is that Wolfgang Peterson?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's something going on in my neighborhood.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. They're coming to get you.
But they're coming to get me. Yes. So yeah, he's. Yeah, he would have been good. I like In the Line of Fire much better. I think that's a much better
know what
movie than this.
I think Malkovich has a sinister streak. And he
Oh,
would,
I do.
like, so I don't know if he could have played the president because you'd be like, whatever, he's probably evil anyway.
I saw, okay, talking about Bill Maher. We didn't talk about Bill Maher, but
Yeah.
he's trending today. I remember one time on Politically Incorrect a long, long time ago, and they used to have four celebrity guests. And he was there, and I think it was Suzanne Vega was the person sitting across from him. And he was talking about, well, when I was in my childhood, blah, blah, blah. And Suzanne Vega very innocently said, where are you from? And he looks and goes, what? And she says, where did you grow up? Where are you from? He said, Midwest. She's like, okay.
What
It's just like,
Cheryl,
dude. I don't think he was mad, but I think he was just thrown off. And he just was like, you know what I mean? But it was so like, she's just asking where you grew up, dude. It's like, it's not a judgmental question.
He's such a kook.
He's a kook. That's my point. He's a kook.
He's a total kook. He's not right for that kind of role. I also read that Tommy Lee Jones was someone considered, and I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, sure.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, but Malkovich? No. Malkovich! Malkovich! We should put being John Malkovich on the list.
We should. I have not seen that since the theater.
I haven't seen it I know I watched it a few more times after it came out on DVD because I was like fascinated that this movie was a thing that existed. I was like, how does this movie even exist? It's
called the
weird.
90s.
So weird.
Do you remember that movie? There was like Judd Nelson that he was a guy who had an arm on his back.
No.
Like he had an extra arm. I'm not kidding you. There's this movie.
Are you making this up?
I'm not making this up. I swear to God, this is true. And Lara Flynn Boyle is like his girlfriend. This is early 90s. But he was a guy who like grew an arm in his back. And like that was the whole fucking movie. I'm not kidding you. Somebody will look that up.
He could like
I'll
slap his own back.
Yeah, he could wipe his ass better. I don't know. I didn't understand it myself.
All right, keep talking. I'm going to look this up. Judd Nelson.
Yeah, he has a girlfriend. One arm movie. Or he has an extra arm.
Here we go. It's like third arm. Let's see. The Dark Backward. That's what it's
backward?
It's like he's got this lump on his back and it continues to grow and it becomes a full-sized
Yes.
What the fuck?
The 90s were insane.
I have never heard of this movie. I was like, you are legit making this movie up.
No!
You're fucking with me. It's a real thing. It's got Bill Paxton in it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
There's
All
a whole
right.
scene I remember because it was I don't know if it was on like MTV. Remember MTV had a movies
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
And they had a segment on there interviewing Judd Nelson. He was like, "Yeah, it was a great script, so I wanted to do it." I'm like, "It was?" And then they showed a clip, and it's Lara Flynn Boyle just screeching, "Oh my God, your arm is in that your back has an arm now. You have 3 arms. What are you gonna do?" Like she's freaking the fuck out, and I'm like, people would pay for this? I remember it though.
I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, I know now. I do too. See if it's streaming.
I don't understand. Oh my God, this movie. Oh, where is it? Let's see. It looks like it's on Prime.
Oh, we'll have to start watching it.
Oh my gosh. Watch. I think it's just streaming on Prime. I don't think you even have to rent it, which is good because nobody probably should be renting this. Oh shit.
Just start watching it. Don't tell your husband anything. Just put it on and see what he does.
He walks in. He'll walk in and he'll just turn around, walk right back out. He'll be like, "What the fuck?" No, he would never say fuck. David never swears, but he would. He would say Jiminy Christmas, and he would turn around and walk right back out.
But the 90s were wild.
This is true.
Just in so many ways. Like when Clinton was president, like people kind of had a party, and then the 2000s came. It was George Bush, and then we had 9/11.
Yeah.
You know, it took a while to get our sexiness back after that. But I don't know if we make this after 9/11. I think because of all the stuff about the president being in danger and all that.
Yeah.
It's tough.
That's true. I don't know if we talked about this on another one of our episodes, but kind of with Trump leaving, the vaccine coming out, and now we're like our transition boyfriend is being sworn in. Like, will we get like another kind of roaring 20s here in this country where people are just going to start losing their shit? Maybe we're going to get more movies with Judd Nelson having a third arm, is what I'm saying.
I think, yes, I say this. I'd say once the vaccines are out and this is under control, it may take a year or so.
Yeah.
But when we're ready to have concerts again and
it's
parties.
It's going to be like Gatsby, right? Like people are just going to go
be fucking wild. Yeah.
I think that's what I think too. I think people are going to go nuts.
The Charleston is going to come back into style.
Sweet, because I can do the Charleston.
Bathtub gin. Let's go.
I love gin. I like where this is going.
Yeah. Long cigarette holder, you know. I think people. Yeah, I think people are going to go crazy.
I think so too, and I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, I'm on board.
I just want to go back to the theaters. I miss it so bad.
I had a dream the other day about Alamo Drafthouse. No, it was like an Alamo Drafthouse, but me and my sister were running a movie theater. We decided we were going to do that from now on. Because we're all we have now. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. Like we're going to do this and then retire and stuff like that. And then I woke up like, oh, I'm not going to operate a movie theater. That would have been fun.
So
I know.
When my sister was in her graduate program, she went back to school, got a degree in business, and she's like, I have to come up with a whole business plan. And she's like, I kind of want to do a business plan for this idea that her and I were always talking about. And it was basically the Alamo Drafthouse, but we didn't know the Alamo Drafthouse was a thing. I don't even know if it existed at the time, the Alamo Drafthouse. But it was like the idea of you would serve really good food there, and there would be booze, and there would be like mainstream movies, but you could also like have like curated movies like film festivals and stuff like that. And we didn't ever come up with a name for it. We would just call it like our movie theater basically. But like she did a whole business plan for it for her like graduate project. So side note, it was also my sister's dream to have a movie theater at one point.
Yeah, I just thought it would be in this little town and all that. Yeah, just it was a nice dream.
Welcome,
it was a really nice dream.
Welcome to our podcast where we talk about our dreams.
After go crazy with the bathtub gin and the Charleston,
Mm-hmm.
I will then settle down and get a little movie theater going.
Oh my gosh, I totally want to do the Charleston. I could do it. I think sometimes I think like I was born in the wrong time, like
Yeah.
because I'm like that kind of dance I can do, but like anything modern and cool I suck at. So anyway, do you want to hear about some of the other movies that came out the summer of 1997?
Absolutely.
Some of these feel very Air Force One like, so it's going to feel very appropriate. Con Air came out.
Yep.
That I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Speed 2.
Oy.
Not good.
Disappointment.
Not good. Face Off.
Good movie.
Face Off is good, I think.
Crazy.
Oh, for sure. That's another one where you're like, what the fuck? They switch faces. It's another movie that's crazy. Speaking of crazy, Conspiracy Theory.
Oh, God.
Fucking Mel Gibson. Fuck you, Mel Gibson. And then Julia Roberts is like his love interest in that movie. That's inappropriate.
Oy.
She's too young for him. Contact.
Oh, I like Contact.
I don't think I've seen it since the theater, but I remember liking it at the time.
Yeah.
Men in Black.
Love Men in Black.
Men in Black is funny as shit. It's such a good movie. We should put that on the list too. It probably is on the list actually. But George of the Jungle.
I've never seen it.
You know, we love Brendan Fraser here at Dorking Out. We super love Brendan Fraser. Just watch Encino Man. You don't need to watch George of the Jungle. It's fine. Did I say Batman and Robin? Batman and Robin came out.
Wow, it's a crazy year for movies.
Totally. This is all summer of 97.
Wow.
Batman and Robin is not good. I know that's not a hot take. Not a hot take. There's good stuff in it, but it's not a good movie.
Not. No, it's not.
I think George Clooney actually was a good Bruce Wayne. I don't know if he's a good Batman, but I thought he was a good Bruce Wayne. I don't know if I explained that very well, but...
No, I get it.
And it did have Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and she's pretty cool. But the rest of it is like, "Ice to see you," and shit like that. It's pretty bad. And I'm sure there's some people who super love it, and I'm sorry I shit on it, kind of. And then the last one is G.I. Jane.
That's Demi Moore?
Yeah. Which
she made a lot of money with that.
I kind of think we should revisit that one sometime. I'm very curious to know how that one holds up. I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, totally.
I'll put it on
I
the
haven't
list.
seen them. Put it on the list. So do you want to hear about some songs of 97?
You know I do.
Okay. A lot of ladies, I just realized. So Jewel, You Were Meant for Me.
I loved that whole album.
I did too. Toni Braxton, Unbreak My Heart. Remember that song? Oh my God.
Toni Braxton was huge that year.
Yeah. This is another big one. Meredith Brooks, Bitch.
Okay.
That song. Oh my God.
I still like that song, and I realized that it's like kind of a stupid song and that people definitely like to make fun of it, but I was like, I still like it.
It's catchy.
I think it is too.
Talking about our friend Adam Risky, who's been on the show occasionally. Duncan Sheik's Barely Breathing. He was tweeting about Duncan Sheik the other day.
I really like that song. I always have.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the show Girls with Lena Dunham?
No.
Okay. There's a whole thing where like there's a thing where they make fun of that song at one point, and I was like, no, that's a good song. How dare you?
Lena Dunham, how dare you?
Yeah, you're out of control. I'm not watching this shit. Remove season pass.
The Notorious B.I.G. Hypnotized.
Okay, that song.
Awesome song.
Love that song. Still good.
And one of my favorite songs of all time, Spice Girls, I Will Be There.
That's such a good song.
Giving you everything. Oh my God.
That's a really good song.
That's a jam.
Yeah. The Spice Girls are one of those bands too that people love to shit on back in the day, and I'm like, don't be an asshole. They are super fun.
They had some great songs.
Totally. I didn't, you know what? I've never seen their movie. Did you see their movie?
I saw it in the theater the day it came out. Like me and my friends,
Did you
we were
like it? Because
on board.
it has
It's
it has defenders. Like it definitely has a fan base.
it's not good, but if that's what you're asking, but
I meant to. Did you like it? That's different. That's a
I
different
did,
question.
yeah, it's not good, but I like it.
Okay.
I like the music. I like their personalities. I just like anything Britain,
Mm-hmm.
that's poppy and fun. I'm in.
Okay. I will consider it someday. Maybe it's a good like I'm dicking around the house movie.
It's a good dicking around the house movie.
All
You can
right.
fold your laundry, dust, shit like that, and just like check in on it from time to time.
All right. I'll put it on my dicking around the house list. Dicking around the house. Where's that song? Come on, Weird Al. Where's the parody? What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
I just heard, from our What a Creep podcast Facebook page, someone was talking about a podcast called Lolita, and it's literally called Lolita Podcast, and it's Jamie Loftus. She's a comedian and a writer, and she talks about the original work, Lolita, and the novel, the original novel, and then she talks about the Stanley Kubrick movie, and then she talks the Adrian Lyne movie, which came out in '97, and how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
And she's, if you like Karina Longworth, what's this?
You must remember this.
You must remember this, then you will like that. Or if you like What a Creep and you must remember this, you'll like this podcast.
Okay.
Because she talks about creeps, and it's a lot of, it's trigger warning. They talk a lot about pedophilia, and because that's what's happening in the story. And when you realize like what Adrian Lyne, like the kind of movie he put together and how young the actress was, Dominique Swain,
oh right,
and how fucking weird Jeremy Irons is.
Yeah.
It's really like what they did with the material is they just decided it's an odd love story, and
Ew.
it's like it's so gross. The movie's so gross. It's so disturbing. But this podcast is about basically it's the male gaze and men, adapting a work and then deciding how the story's gonna be. And with the original novel, which I admittedly I never read, I never want to read, and it probably could be the greatest thing ever. It just skeeves me out. But in the novel, it's the Hubert. Hubert is a very unreliable narrator, and you don't know if he's really doing what he's doing, if it's really real, or if he's going crazy. But all the movies have been, it's real, and she's hot, and she's into it too, and she wasn't a virgin when she met the guy, so that makes it okay. And it's and she goes, there's one I really loved it. Like she went in and she said she was looking into past scandals, and she goes, I came across a name, Joey Buttafuoco. I didn't even know this was a thing, and she talks about that. Yeah, that's why I said we have to do a tabloid show for creeps. Like we'll do like one with we'll have a bunch of those tabloid creeps. But anyway, it's about film, it's about books, it's about the system, it's about men always being in charge of things, telling a woman's story. This is a child's story, and then she does talk about the real story that it was based on, which is terrible, and horrible. I mean, a girl was kidnapped. And her life was ruined by it. But how people just like they want to put that sunny little sparkle on and like, oh, it's kind of an unconventional love story. And she's not 12, she's 14. That's almost 15.
And that's 3 years from legal, so it's fine.
And she, like I said, she probably wasn't a virgin, and her mom was crazy, so it's okay. I really am enjoying it. It's a weekly show. She has new episodes come out on Monday. There's like 7 out there. I've been listening to it. I started yesterday and I just tore through it.
All right.
And I'm really, really intrigued. And I sent her a fan note on Twitter. It just said, we love you. You're awesome. Because she talks about, like, we're going to talk, like, we have Charlie Chaplin on our list.
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that, but like she talked about Errol Flynn. We talked about Errol Flynn in the past,
Mhm.
and what a creep he is. So, anyway, it's called Lolita Podcast,
And
and it's really
I
good.
am putting it on my list because
I think you're gonna like it.
yeah, that is our jam.
Hmm.
It sounds weird, but yes, that is our jam.
Yeah, it's a weird road to take. Yes.
Yes. So we're still doing our like family movie nights here in the Mans Tracy household. And last week we finally watched Soul.
Oh, what'd you think?
It's so good.
Yeah,
Once
right.
again I realize I'm late to the party, but it's just it's so beautiful to look at,
Hmm.
and like the story is so well told, and then it's just got those cool little Pixar touches that just make it so much more than like a fucking Minions movie or what. Like there's just I love how deep Pixar goes in their movies,
Yeah.
and this one reminded me a lot of Inside Out, just in what it kind of what it's talking about and what makes us who we are. And
Hmm.
I just really really loved it. And my son is 9, and we've talked about this before, he's autistic, and emotions and talking about emotions and talking about death is not something that like comes super easy to him. Not that it's super easy for any of us, but it really clicked for him, and he really really liked it too. And
Oh,
he
good.
was super engaged. He asked a lot of questions, which is awesome. I mean, that's just Pixar makes they make special movies that
Yeah.
every once in a while you get one that's like, whatever, like A Good Dinosaur or something like that. But like most of the time it's their movies are so special. I don't know how else to say it. Like the feelings they bring up, how they connect with
Hmm.
adults and kids, they treat kids like the smart people that they are. It's not just a bunch of fart jokes and pop culture references.
Hmm.
And it gets them to think about and talk about things that maybe they don't know how to talk about.
Hmm.
And it's so good. And Jamie Foxx as the lead, his voice is so good.
Oh, he's wonderful.
And Tina Fey is so good as number 22, and she's this soul that doesn't want to go to Earth because she thinks it's shitty. And she's not wrong, but she's also kind of wrong. But she's actually really good, and she's not doing like her Tina Fey thing. When the movie was over, my husband didn't even know that Tina Fey was the voice of 22.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't tell it was her. I mean, I could tell it was her, but he couldn't because I don't think she was leaning into that Tina Fey stuff that she does. And then you have Graham Norton is in there.
Oh, he's so good. He's
Uh,
so funny.
yeah, Questlove, Angela Bassett, Felicia Rashad, like really really good people. And then there's this comedian Richard uh, O'Dea. O'Day, I think is how you pronounce it. He was in like the British IT Crowd, and he does a show called Travel Man, and he has a very distinct voice. And I was like, why
Hmm.
is he not in every animated movie? Because I feel like he was one of the soul counselors where it's like, and you've been assigned to number 22. Like he he's really funny. Just his delivery is funny. Rachel House as the soul counter, the go named Terry, that like because they're all named Terry or Cherry. I don't know why, but that made me laugh. Like everyone's so good in it, and it's so good to look at. And
It's beautiful to look
I
at, and
know,
like
and
for me, it made me miss New York
yeah,
because you really feel like you're stepping into the city, like you are walking around Greenwich Village.
mm-hmm.
It really, really feels it, and I miss the city so much, and I get a little misty eyed when I think about it. But it
Mm,
brings up really good messages too
mm-hmm.
about like having a passion for things, but that's not the only thing that defines you,
Yes,
and the importance of teachers in your life
mm-hmm.
and just being a good person and that cat. We have a cat in this movie that's so
Yeah.
cute.
There's nothing wrong with a fat cat in a movie.
I'm on board for that.
Yeah, but you were right about the message, and that's again that's something that Pixar always does really well. But and this is definitely in line with that sort of thing. Yeah, your passions don't define who you are. They also don't have to be the the only thing you do
Right.
to live your life. And yeah, it's really well done. It's such a good movie. So, and it's streaming on Disney Plus. And tonight we're doing our movie night tonight. We're going to watch Onward, which is the other Pixar movie that came out early last year, and we haven't watched it yet. So we'll be watching that one. Did you watch that one yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't even know what that is.
I will report back.
Yeah, report back to me.
Will do.
I'm going to be watching The Perfect Storm.
Ooh.
Because that's going to be the next book versus movie. And that book really holds up. I don't know if you've ever read it.
I saw the movie.
Younger. The movie's just okay.
Yeah.
But the book is really, really, I mean, what these men go through, these fishermen go through, oh my God, it's just, but I remember the movie being kind of cheesy. So it's got a lot of like bad Boston accent work going.
But I thought you liked that.
But I love it too at the same time.
Did you ever watch any of those reality shows that were about those fishermen? There was a whole bunch of them.
There was one that I liked. I forget if they were the Alaskan one, I think. But there's Alaskan, and then there's another. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Deadly Catch.
Deadliest Catch. That's the one I was thinking of. My sister used to like that one. I didn't watch it.
Yeah. There was one. Yeah, I think it was Deadliest Catch where one guy died.
Yeah.
And he was like 51 or something,
God,
like
so
really,
young.
really young. And it's so sad because like they had him, like he said goodbye to his sons. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I should have done better. And they're like, no, you taught me good skills and you taught me everything. I mean, just,
oh my gosh.
I couldn't go back after that. I was like, okay, this is too real.
Yeah.
But a lot of them.
I don't want that much reality in my reality shows. Thank you very much.
But it was fun when they were on the boat. Like it was exciting, but there's no way I could live that life. Oof.
No, well, I couldn't live that life because I would throw up. I get seasick.
Yeah, I do.
That's not for me.
And I don't like to eat fish, and that's like all they have. Like I feel like, oh God.
And I'm a vegan, so I would be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you ever people like? How about I've got salmon and salmon? Would you like some salmon? I'm like,
salmon?
no.
You want some salmon with your salmon?
I'm like, no. No.
No, it's not for me.
No.
This was fun. I'm so glad we talked about Air Force One and Soul and Lolita and Deadliest Catch and
the third arm movie.
and the third arm movie, which I'm totally gonna watch, and we'll talk. And I'll put it under the what else are we dorking out about for next week. That is definitely happening. Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fit Chick, mostly for Twitter and Instagram. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And if you like the sound of our voices, and of course you do,
right?
You can listen to us at What a Creep, where we're talking about creeps every week. And we're having so much fun there. And we end every episode with someone who's not a creep, so you don't think that everything's so terrible. And we have a private Facebook group you can ask to join. And if you don't look like an asshole who will storm the Capitol, we might let you in. And there's a lot of other dorks there that are talking about this show as well. And we're fine with that. You don't have to talk about creeps. If you want to dork out about stuff, you could do that there too. And you can find Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com and Dorking Out Show on Twitter. And if you want some stickers, you could email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. If you have requests, we take requests. Like, for example, multiple people have requested how to lose a guy in 10 days. We are going to do it for February. I have never seen it. Margo has thoughts and feelings. It's going to be a good one. But if you have other movies that you want us to talk about, please email us, send it to us on Twitter, whatever. And you can find me at The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram. And this was really fun. I'm so glad we talked about Air Force One. Let's get ready for our transition boyfriend.
Get off my plane.